Today, in Yomi, page 366, the prohibition of telling a non-Jew to perform Melacha for you on Shabbat. People have a big misconception. They say, Rabbi, I passed by a store and it has a sign over there, Shabbos Goy. I saw the sign. I was very excited. Because if you have a Shabbos Goy, so that means if I have anything I need to get done on Shabbat that I can't do myself, I'll just call the Shabbos Goy. Call the Shabbos Goy, and everything, everything is going to become permitted. I need my light on, ask the Shabbos Goy. I need my dishwasher on, call the Shabbos Goy. I need my food to be cooked, just ask the Shabbos Goy. Everything, I could circumvent an entire Shabbat, just get some Goyim to go do it for me, Shabbos Goy. Life's great. You should know, this is a big mistake, very big mistake. When those stores have those signs, Shabbos Goy, it means that he is available for you for the permitted situations where a Goy is allowed to do for you Melacha. Not for whatever you want. You're going to see there's a very limited amount of cases that a person's allowed to use a Goy to do Melacha for you on Shabbat. And that's what that sign is for. Okay, so therefore, you should know, it is prohibited for a Jew to enlist a non-Jew to perform Melacha on Shabbat. Any Melacha that a Jew is forbidden to do, it is also prohibited to ask a non-Jew to do it on your behalf. What? That's already a groundbreaking idea for a lot of people, and you have to know that it is very forbidden to ask Goyim to do Melacha for you if you're not allowed to do it. We're going to see there's very unique circumstances that there's leniency. You can ask a Goy to do something for you, or sometimes there's a lot of hint to a Goy to do something for you, but that is a rarity. That is not the common occurrence. The common occurrence is it is forbidden. Okay, where do we learn this from? Some Rishonim say it's a biblical prohibition. As it says, you shall not do work on them. What does it mean? I'm sorry, no work shall be done on them. Why does it say no work shall be done instead of you shall not work? No work should be done even by other people, even non-Jews. But most Rishonim say it's only asur mid'Rabbanan. It's only rabbinically forbidden to use a non-Jew to do Melacha on Shabbat. Why were the rabbis forbid using a non-Jew? At the end of the day, is a non-Jew commanded in keeping the Shabbat? No. So why am I not allowed to tell him to do something he's allowed to do? Problem is, because he's doing it for who? Not for himself. He's doing it for you. So what happens if he's doing it for you? So number one, the Rambam writes, the reason why the sages prohibited non-Jews to be used for Melacha for Jews is because it will result in Jews transgressing Melacha themselves. Imagine you have a lady in the house, cleaning lady. She turns on lights, she vacuums, she turns on the dishwasher, she does laundry, she cooks, she does everything like not Shabbat. In your house. You're going to see this all the time. It's going to be like, okay, so I might as well, myself I'll do it. You know, it will lead to you doing it. So therefore, that's why the sage is prohibited. Another reason is because the Torah says, the Navi says what? Daber davar, right? It says your speech has to be different on Shabbat. During the week, you tell Goyim what to do, to work for you. On Shabbat, part of keeping Shabbat is you can't tell them what to do. You have to speak differently on Shabbat. Number three, another issue is if you would ask a non-Jew to do Melacha, what do we do? What do we say? Right? Your shaliach is like yourself. So the Goy, some opinions say, by Goy, there's shlichut, there's a shliach. He's your shaliach. When he's your shaliach, it's considered that you did the sin. And number four, if we were going to go and let a person do Melacha through non-Jews, then what? So you could not keep Shabbat while keeping Shabbat. How? I'll have my business open with a non-Jew. I'll have the non-Jew drive for me. He'll open the door for me. He'll turn on the lights for me. I'll be able to, break Shabbat without breaking Shabbat technically, because I'll have the Goy do every single Melacha for me. It's genius, right? So therefore, the sages had to come, put a halt to it. Where's the sanctity in that? Where's the meaning in such a Shabbat? Where's the atmosphere of Shabbat like that? So therefore, the sages prohibited asking a non-Jew to do Melacha. What if I ask a guy smart? He says, fine, Rabbi, I agree. Can't ask a non-Jew to do Melacha. I'll tell him during the week what to do on Shabbat. That way it's not on Shabbat, it's during the week. That is also forbidden. Telling a person before Shabbat to do something for you on Shabbat, it's like you told him on Shabbat. It's the same thing in Halacha, same thing. So therefore, it will not be allowed. there are certain instances where you're allowed to hint, and there's certain instances where you're allowed to tell directly to the non-Jew to do melacha for you. But we will learn that it is not so simple, and it's very unique cases. Okay, that is why we need to have this first fundamental idea. You should know in your mind, it should be, it is forbidden to ask a non-Jew to do melacha for me, unless I know an explicit reason why it's permitted in this case. But the running theme is, it is forbidden until it is proven to you that it's permitted via halacha. You cannot assume that it is permitted, you have to assume that it's forbidden. Okay, good. Number 2, on page 369. It is forbidden to tell a non-Jew to perform melacha on Shabbat, even if the non-Jew will be only performing the melacha for himself and not for the Jew. However, this is only forbidden if the non-Jew will be using the belongings of a Jew to perform the melacha. Since the non-Jew is the melacha through a Jew's request, and by using the Jew's item, it's considered your agent and therefore be forbidden. For example, A, you cannot give your lawnmower to a non-Jew on Shabbat, even if the non-Jew wants to mow his own lawn. Okay, B, one may not lend his car to a non-Jew to drive around on Shabbat. C, one may not let a non-Jew use the phone in a person's house, right? It's your phone, but he has to use his own phone. Okay, let's say you want to tell, what's a case that you'll be allowed to tell a non-Jew to do melacha? And there's a famous rule called shvut de shvut. What's shvut de shvut? Shvut de shvut means, shvut means derabanan, a rabbinic prohibition. Shvut means to abstain, a rabbinic decree to abstain. So one rabbinic decree is what? That you can't tell non-Jews to do melacha on Shabbat. That's one rabbinic decree. Another rabbinic decree is what? Let's say a certain melacha is only forbidden rabbinically. It's not forbidden from the Torah, right? So what's an example? An example would be to turn on an LED light. Okay, turn on an LED light is only forbidden rabbinically. It's not forbidden from the Torah, right? So therefore, if I have a situation where there's I want to tell a goy, which is rabbinically forbidden, to do a rabbinically forbidden melacha, like turning on an LED light, that's a shvut de shvut. That's a double derabanan. One derabanan to tell a goy, one derabanan to turn on the LED light. And it's b'makom mitzvah, let's say, it's in the place of a mitzvah, it came to shul, and the sanctuary is dark, nobody can read for the prayers, and all the lights in the sanctuary are LED. So we will be allowed to tell a non-Jew to turn on the LED lights on Shabbat, because it's a double derabanan, right? It's derabanan to tell a non-Jew to what to do on Shabbat. It's a derabanan to turn on LED lights on Shabbat. So therefore, a double derabanan in the place of a mitzvah to be able to pray, it'll be allowed. But it has to be in this kind of formula in order to permit it. Directly, right. Directly you're allowed to tell him. But in this kind of formula, then you'll be allowed to tell. But tell him to do something forbidden from the Torah? No, you can't do that. Even though, it's Darabanan to tell the non-Jew, but it's Doraita to do the Melacha, turn on a fire, that's Doraita, that's from the Torah forbidden. I can't do that. That doesn't fit the formula. So therefore you see, it's a very, very specific case, right? Now you're allowed to ask a non-Jew for to do Melacha for you. Okay. Where's this? Okay, let's see. We said before you're not allowed to ask a non-Jew to perform for you Shabbat services during the week. Okay. Okay, we're gonna, because these laws are complicated, we're gonna jump around. We're gonna go out of order. Let's go to page 376. Okay. Exceptions to this rule. Enabling a large group of people to do a mitzvah. 27. Under certain circumstances, it is permitted to ask a non-Jew to perform a biblically prohibited melacha on Shabbat on behalf of a large group of people who need to perform a mitzvah. If possible, and even in this case, you should ask a non-Jew to tell another non-Jew. Okay? So here, the halacha permits even doing a mitzvah d'oraita, a melacha d'oraita. Why? Because it's a big group of people. But let's say it's not a big group of people. Let's say it's for yourself. So that you have to use the double derabanan. But here, they want to give a leniency. Yechud Yosef gives a leniency for turn on the lights, which are incandescent, or the heating, or the air conditioning, so people can pray and read the Torah. Since it's for our big group of people, we're more lenient with this, and therefore we're able to even ask him to turn on the lights that are incandescent, not just LED. But for yourself privately, then you would have to fall back in the original formula, double derabanan. 29. One who bought a home in Eretz Israel from a non-Jew is permitted to ask the non-Jew to write in the contract in any language on Shabbat, since the mitzvah of living in Israel is so great the sages did not establish the prohibition of telling a non-Jew to do Melacha for this purpose. You hear? So I'm buying the land and I'm buying a house in Israel, and we started the negotiations on Friday. But when he wants to write the contract, when does he want to write the contract? Shabbat. Are you allowed to let him do it? Yeah, you're allowed to let him do it. Why? Since the mitzvah of living in Israel is so great, the sages said we never applied this prohibition of telling a non-Jew for this kind of situation. And this kind of situation is mutar because we want the Jew to buy the land in Israel. Okay. Psik Reshe. We're going to end with this. Right? What's Psik Reshe and the laws of Shabbat? The guy said, Rabbi, I'm going to shech the chicken, cut the chicken's head off, to give the head to play with, for my son to play with. So the rabbi told him, listen, you're going to kill the chicken. No, that's not my intention, Rabbi. It's okay. So the rabbi said, oh, you're going to cut the chicken's head off, and he's not going to die? Obviously he's going to die. You can't say that's not your intention. So therefore, let's say, I'm going to open the fridge, and I know the light's going to go on. Rabbi, my intention is not the light to go on. My intention is to open the fridge door. But you know the light's going to go on, so how can you say it's not your intention? So you should know this halacha applies to Jews, but not to non-Jews. So for example, are you allowed to ask a goy to open the fridge for you on Shabbat? Yeah. Oh, but why? The light's going to go on. And whatever you're not allowed to do, you can't tell the non-Jew what to do. So since this reason why it's forbidden for you is because of Psik Reshe, Psik Reshe only applies to Jews, doesn't apply to non-Jews. So therefore, let's say, and this kind of case comes on, or let's say, I want to ask the goya to wash the dishes, right? Let's say you have a lady in your house, you have a lot of guests, and you brought a cleaning lady, and she has to wash the dishes after the meal. You're allowed to tell her to wash dishes with hot water. But I myself cannot wash dishes with hot water. What's the reason using hot water on Shabbat is not allowed? Because when I use the hot water, I'm causing more water to go in the boiler to cook. That's Psik Reshe. But Psik Reshe applies only to Jews. It doesn't apply to non-Jews. Therefore, it is permitted to ask a non-Jew to turn on the hot water faucet, even not for herself, even for me. Let's say I'm going to wash the dishes now. She's going to turn on the hot water. I'm going to wash the dishes. That would be also allowed. This is permitted even though the non-Jew will cause cold water to flow into the boiler. As Psik Reshe, it doesn't apply by a non-Jew. B, if one forgot to turn off the light in the refrigerator, it's permitted to tell the non-Jew to open the refrigerator door and to close it after to take what he needs. Also, let's say you forgot something in the car. Yeah? You got a fancy bottle of a Macallan, right? Macallan 25? Macallan 30? Yeah? So what happened? So over there, he can't get it. If he goes in his car, even if you have a manual, remember when those keys, they used to have manual slot in the door? But if you open the door, the light goes on. If you ask the non-Jew to go in and get it, even though the light's going to go on, Psik Reshe, doesn't apply by a non-Jew. Baruch Amen, amen.